So, yes, I'd like to welcome everybody. Ich sag Hallo zu allen and we will talk in English now because translation takes double time, so we need to figure out something. Also ich werde auf Englisch reden, weil wir nicht alles übersetzen werden. Wir werden gucken, wie wir das irgendwie gelöst kriegen. And I like to say hello to my grandpa, Tom Porter, who I visited last year with Susanne Fischerizzi. Do you remember Susanne, Tom?
I sure do.
I do too. I
I will
think
never,
about her often.
I will never forget her.
Yeah, and yeah, Tom and we stay in contact over. I think you were here 2016 in Europe. When were you here, Tom?
I don't remember, but it was about 5, 6 years ago now, I think.
It's long time ago,
Yeah,
definitely. Let's say
and
long time ago.
it was fun. We had a good time.
Yes, we really had a good time. We went to look at horses. We went to go for ice cream, and we had deep talks and good storytelling in the Spitzhaus in our building. And
Go ahead.
I'd like to say I put this up here. Kanastaji, your daughter, gave this to me at the very last day as we left last year.
Oh my God,
I think this
that's
means
good.
a lot to you, Tom. Do you want to say something to it?
Well, that flag, represents the colors of white and purple, represents the day and the night, or the birth and the death, and the negative and the positive powers that exist in the world. And those negative and positive is in every tree, every grass, every animal, every person. So that's why, as a human, we can sometimes do negative things, and it's because it's part of our being. So when somebody gets a little bit of trouble, it's because they tipped over to the negative too much. So our job is, as humans and as life, whether it's an animal or tree or anything, it's all composed of the negative and positive. So our job is to balance the negative and the positive and go right through the middle so that we have a good life. And that's why we have ceremonies every month, to remind us of how to keep balance. That's what ceremonies are for. And so sometime if you don't have ceremonies, sometimes the negative is too much and it makes big problem. And so instead of punishing them, it means they need to become in a ceremony, not punishment, ceremony, to get them back on balance. So that's why the Iroquois never evolved to have jails or prisons, because when somebody do wrong or negative, they made ceremonies for them and brought them back onto the path.
Hmm.
There's a big difference
Hmm.
there. So, but I think that all the people in the world, when the world was new, knew this, but over many years, people forgot that. And when they forgot it, then there was imbalance in the world. That's what's going on right now. So my suggestion is only suggestion is that all the people of the world needs to replenish their original indigenous teachings that were given to them at the very beginning of the world. Most of the native people here in North America um, uh, still have knowledge of those indigenous teachings. Sometimes I refer to them as universal truth, and so we still have them going because our colonization did not occur unless until 300 years ago.
Yeah.
That's only. So all of those knowledge is in our DNA yet, very close to the surface of our skin.
Yes.
But in Europe, colonization took place 3,000 years ago.
Yes.
The DNA of the European, of their original truth or universal truth, is deep under the skin, much more than the natives of North America,
Yeah.
because we only colonized 300 years ago.
Yeah.
And even though we're colonized, many of our elder people, I always say, were like diamonds. They refused to be colonized, and they hid out and they continued to do their ceremony and the things that were important of the universal truth, so that when colonization came, they were able to hide it and keep it going. So
Hmm.
that's why, because of them, 65 years ago, younger people began to visit those older people who had those knowledge. And now many of our young people are following that again. So it almost became extinct, but the young people turned it around. And so in the world, all the young people can turn it around too, but they have to go back to their traditional, indigenous, spiritual, universal truth in order to do that. And when I say that, what I mean is that amongst the native nations here in North America, we have in our spiritual ceremony life ceremonies or dances. It's called sun dance, and that's for the sun,
Hmm.
because the sun is what makes everything grow.
Yeah.
The tree grows, the corn, the beans, and the food grow. Medicine grows. Little baby Germans grow because the sun shines. If the sun should go out, then no tree will be living, no grass will be living, and no little Germans will be living. No
Yep.
little. So that's why we have ceremonies, all the nations here in North America, for the sun. And I know that in Europe they had the sun dance too
Hmm.
before they were colonized. Then we also have we call the moon our grandma, because she regulates every 28 days the women's cycle. They call monthly period, and that moon is the one that regulates that. And the reason that happens is because the woman's body is renewed every 28 days, so that their body can be a soft bed for a new little baby human being to begin their journey.
Hmm.
And that's what our grandmother moon does. And so there are ceremonies that we do for her.
And we have a really bright full moon right now outside. Me and Arthur just looked at it. And if I can, because they haven't heard our names yet. And but before they hear our names, I have to show you something. I was thinking about you. I was there a few weeks. Do you see this picture of the lady? It's like a lady, and
Yes,
you see what she has on her head?
yes,
A horn mask. And
yes,
when you said we had the Sundance, like I didn't know about that yet. But as you were here many years ago, let's say this, you said this one thing like we had lots of jokes sharing and we had lots of story sharing and stuff like this. And I ask you one question, like, what do you think is missing here on as you got to know my crowd, my people a little bit? And this is what you said. You said back then it needs ceremony. And since then we're working on a ceremony, and now we're doing once a year ceremony. It feels now very, very complete. We were 150 people dancing and singing and saying thank you, because first we got to start with the Thanksgiving, and that's all we did. 2 hours long. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I thought about you, and my name is Paul, and this is
Pauline?
Pauline. That's why we fit together so well. And I'm the leader of the wilderness school, who are Flaming. That's the region where I live. And this region is very important for us here. And I know that the region where Tom is coming from is very important for him too. And I try it, Tom. And if I say it wrong, you say shitak. Um, so I say Sakokwenionkwas,
Sakokwenionkwas.
Sakokwenionkwas, Sakokwenionkwas.
Sakokwenionkwas. Uh-huh.
And this means he
That's
who
my real name.
wins.
That
That's
means the one who wins.
yes. And you're from the Mohawks. Maybe you're going to say something about the Iroquois with the flag,
Oh
or the
yeah,
Mohawks, so we know a little bit where you come from.
yes. So The two basic colors comes from the quahog shell found in the ocean around Boston, New York State, New York City. It's not found, I don't think, anywhere else in the oceans anywhere. And so that's a sacred shell, quahog shell, and it has them two colors in natural, the purple and the white.
Mm.
And that's what were made into beads, little cinderella beads, and then they were strung on looms, and they marked or they recorded the history and the spiritual history of our people. There's many hundreds of them that have recorded it, but we use symbols. And when the holder of the wampum sees the symbol, then it reminds him of that part of the history, and then he orally tells it.
Mm.
So it's our writing, but it's a different type of writing. It's more for picture, like a hieroglyphic type.
Mm.
And then the white part of the flag represents peace and tranquility. And then the dark part of it, and the white also represents birth,
Mm.
and joy and laughter and dance. And then the purple part represents the nighttime and represents the negative part, or represents death. And so there's always them two together.
Mm.
Got to be a night and there's got to be a day. There's got to be birth and there's got to be death. There's got to be happiness, and then there's got to be tears as well and grief. And they all go together. So we have to embrace both of them. And so we have ceremonies that teach us and how to practice grief, so that it doesn't overtake us, and then how to bring us back in a balance again. So those the colors on that flag represents all of that. Then the first square rectangular is face the east. It will be facing east.
Yes.
Sun comes up. That would be the Mohawks live there. And then it is surrounded by peace. And so our existence every day has to be focused on peace. And then there's a line that goes west. That line, yeah, it's a white line says peace path, and so it goes west onto the Oneida people, the Oneida Nation, and again they are surrounded by the to make peace and to have tranquility in their village, in their nation. And then it goes the path of peace to the middle, which is a heart or a tree, which is the Onondagas, and it is the seat capital of the Iroquois Haudenosaunee Confederacy. And that's where most of all meetings will occur there of all those nations. And then from there, the path of peace goes to the Cayugas, the next one. And again, it's surrounded by peace for the future. And then from there, it goes on to the Seneca, the last one in the west. That would be Buffalo, and more west of Buffalo, New York. That's where their homeland is for the Seneca. And that's the original 5 nations. But when the European came here, the Tuscarora, who are Iroquois as well, they migrated way south into North Carolina, away from the other 5 nations. And so that's where they had their villages in North Carolina. But when the Europeans came, they took their land away from them because they wanted to make plantations and so on. And so they attacked Tuscarora. And so the Tuscarora, in order not to die from the attack, took only nothing. They didn't have no time to prepare. They just left and went north to where we live, where they originally came from, to take shelter. And they became the 6th nation. But this flag that stands behind you has only 5, because this was way before when the Tuscarora wasn't here. They had already been in North Carolina, settling there. But when they came back, we added them in but it's not on that flag or not in the wampum belt. Maybe it'll be fixed sometime too, to include as well. That has to be done at some point. And that's what that flag represents.
Yeah, thank you for the explanation. And then if you see, I put on a really nice shirt for you, Exler, because you
I
always
reckon
look good, but I want to look better. Look,
I
and
know
here.
it makes you look like the most handsome guy in all the world.
And this an almost 50-year-old man, you tell that. But but then people here always say, "Oh, what do you have? The German flag, or what is this?" And you were already talking about the sun and the moon, and maybe you want to say something about the symbolic of this, so people don't laugh at me. They
Yeah.
treat me
Well,
with
it
respect if
represents
I
the
wear this.
sunrise, sunset of the sun.
Yeah,
Those are the colors that's always in the day and the dawn and the dusk.
yeah,
And so that's we copy that.
yeah. And it always reminds me, I wear it at the ceremony, not to try to pretend I'm a Mohawk, only to remember our good connection we had and all the like you're such a it was such an important trip over there and such a good time we had here where we can lots of like you said the colonization over there was 300 years ago. Here was 3,000 years ago or maybe even longer. We don't know really. It's hard to put it in numbers, you know, it happened
Yeah,
so slowly. And what I realize is that was always funny with you too. You remember me? I was always out in the morning and you were wondering, what is he doing out there? And he wants to sleep outside. No, no, no. It's dangerous out there. But I think here in our country where it's really safe and where it's really like there's so much people in cities and everything. If you do this, if you sleep outside, if you go outside, if you listen to the birds, and if you see the sun and follow the cycles of the moon and all this, even if you live a more modern life, it has to go together, then something like a remembering happens to those old teachings you were telling about. So mm, this is what came to my mind, and I feel a little sorry because I interrupted you as you were talking about the moon and you wanted to go on. Please, I wanted to pass the thread back to you if you want to say more to this, to the night and day.
yeah. So also the earth is I believe that every people that I've ever met, whether they're black or Oriental or European or Native Indigenous, always they understand. I think they refer to Earth as the Mother Earth. I think it's quite universal, actually, because that's part of the original truth um, that we had all had shared together at one point in the world's history. And here we also have ceremonies called thunder ceremony.
Mm,
It's twice a year we have one day that celebrates the power of the thunder, and the thunder is we call it our grandfather.
mm,
The thunder is our grandfathers, and so periodically our grandfathers, like a good grandfather does, he visits his grandchildren, and when he comes to visit his grandchildren, the Creator told them to bring a fresh water to renew our lakes and rivers and ponds, and
mm,
to bring the fresh water to quench the thirst of every strawberry plant and every corn, every plant that's in a garden growing for food. And so our grandfather have always been good grandfathers. They renew all our life and quench our thirst of everything that we depend on to live. And so I know that Europe people way back before colonization also had thunder dances as well.
mm,
I know that they have to have. And there is a ceremony for the Mother Earth almost every month. There's a big ceremony. We call it the Great Feather Dance, where they use a turtle rattle. A snapping turtle represents the Earth, the Mother Earth herself. And so that's what we call Creator Song. And in that Creator Song, um, verses of it is honoring the Mother Earth
Hmm.
to renew her and to energize her every time they sing that. And from that same song, there is also to re-energize the thunder and the things that grow in the garden, as well as the things that grow freely without humans' touch or intervention. There's lots of food that grows by itself.
Hmm.
Creator and Mother grew it for all life. That's like the wild potatoes and wild onions. They're called leeks. You don't have to plant it; they grow by themselves.
Hmm.
Even strawberries, it grows everywhere too.
Yeah, here
Raspberry,
too. Very small ones.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and they're sweeter than the big
Yep.
berries.
Yep. I know.
And I know when me and Hennis was over to Europe, we did that strawberry ceremony over there, different places,
Hmm.
different towns, because strawberry was being harvested when we were there.
Ah, okay.
Different places we did this. We showed them how we do it, and then they said, we said, then you have idea now. You can make your own
Hmm.
how to do it too. So I don't know if they're still doing it too or not.
I
But
gotta
some of
ask,
them told us,
you
some
met him too.
yeah. So
Yeah.
some of them told us that that's the first time they ever seen a strawberry ceremony, and that they were going to do it too every
Hmm.
time strawberry comes. So I hope it's true.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, um, indigenous universal truth, spirituality, is connected with the entire universe. It's connected to the Mother Earth. It's like an umbilical cord. It's hooked to the Mother Earth.
Hmm.
Also, all the trees that grows in a forest, it's hooked to us too. That's another umbilical cord hooked to the trees. The four wind that blows, that bring the changing of the seasons, that's an umbilical cord that we are attached to or came from. The sun, we call him our old brother, the sun. And if he goes out, we all go out. So that's not a myth. That's not paganistic. That's a universal fact.
Yep.
And nobody can dispute that. So that's why we have ceremony. It's not an idol, as the many missionaries told us. They're not to worship idol. That's not idol. Uh, it's something that's true and it's undeniable true. And then there's the moon, our grandmother. There's another in biblical court that we hook to. And so all of those things is what gives us life. And that's when a little baby is being born for 9 months. That that umbilical cord nourishes and is in fact causing that baby to grow and become healthy and to be born.
Hmm.
We need to reestablish our umbilical cord spiritually to all of nature because nature is what we are. And if we divorce ourselves from it, the imbalances will be terrible. And that's what's happening now all over the world.
That is what's happening. I totally agree. Yes. And it's can you describe and biblical? What does it mean? Like I don't have a real translation
Uh,
in my
I'm talking about umbilical cord,
yeah.
the the rope or the string when a baby is being born inside.
Oh, Nabelschnur. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Yeah,
Wait, you
that,
still have the plug-in. You still have it. But no,
belly,
the cord is gone.
your belly,
I'm a baby. I'm a big baby. You know me. I can play like a baby, definitely, yes. I get it. Yes. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And that's what my belief, I would say it's a belief or it's a theory. I don't know how you want to call it. For me, it's a truth actually, because I've seen so many people where it happened. Like if you do connect to the Mother Earth again, and I do use those words now in front of people, and I never used back then because I was ashamed or it felt embarrassed a little bit because it has to do with this esoteric, pagan thing or whatever. But it's not. No, I mean, it's so obvious to explain, hey, where does our food come from? It comes from her. So who's taking care of us where do we come from? Where do we go back to? And all those like cycles that we see. And if you it's so truthful. And then if what we do here is like we go trekking and we go listen to the birds and we learn the plants and learn to use them. And then we go back to our everyday life, always with the question, hey, how can we integrate modern life with those old, like what we have done for thousands and thousands of years, like way longer than doing this. And there's advantages that we can live today. Like we wouldn't be able to see each other, right, Tom? And biggest question here is how can we combine, how can we bridge old teachings with new teachings because we have problems that are new problems. We can't
Yeah,
solve with old techniques only. You know what I mean? It needs, yeah. And I think ceremony could be, it's a soft and gentle way to reintroduce it here. And also, like people that don't know us, some people think, oh, what are they doing? It took a long time. It took like seven years now to be brave enough to go out with this and not do it in a small circle with people you really know. And
yeah.
it feels strong now, and it's only one. And I hear you do strawberry, like the Mother Earth ceremony every month, and then 2 times a year the thunder being ceremony, and then you have
Well,
the
not only that, like thunder is done on a nation level
yeah,
twice a year, but whenever a rain comes and thunder comes, whenever we hear the thunder, our old people uses a pipe and they use the sacred tobacco and they stand outside on the door of their house and they fill up their pipe with the sacred tobacco and they address the grandfather thunders and welcome them to our village or where we live, and we thank them every time it rains and thunders with a tobacco and a pipe. That's what our elders do, and so that's what we do. The elders are now all passed away, so that's what we still do today, and that's what we try to teach our kids to do the same thing.
hmm,
So it's not just twice a year. That's the big ceremony for thunder, twice a year, one in the fall and one in the spring.
hmm,
In the spring, we thunder dance to welcome them back because then they appear all summer, and then in the fall they leave. You
yeah,
don't hear again till spring. So in the fall, it's a ceremony of thunder, like a farewell, because they're going to leave.
yeah.
In spring, they welcome them back. But every time it thunders, we use a pipe to talk to the thunder grandfathers and welcome them and be happy that they're here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
see, it's so integrated with the people that want to listen, right? We talked about this lots. Like you have also people that go to church, or you have also people that uh, just follow the money gods, you know. And I mean, we have the same. Like we have all those. I think this is modern issues every human being has on this planet right now. Like to remember what I really, I know what I always, what amazed me so much and what I loved so much meeting you and getting to know the culture just a little bit is like how alive everything still is because it was never gone. And
Mhm.
here it sometimes feels like we have to reinvent everything new, and then it feels like walking on thin ice. You know, then people laugh a little bit. No one knows really what to do or how to do it right. But I say, hey, don't worry about it. Let's, if we laugh, Tom said, the creator is going to be happy if you laugh 3 times at least a day. So, you know, and the kids were jumping around there. And I thought, hey, Tom would be so happy to see the kids in a good mood. Like they weren't going
Yeah.
crazy, you know, they were like, they were going around, they were very free. But also, as I told them, now you got to concentrate, kids. They did. Like they were, we have this part where they use water and where they can bring, geh mal gucken bitte, where they can bring water out in the landscape in the countryside. And then oh, my son comes. He wants to say hello to my oldest, my second
Oh,
actually. You know, Tom and me, we both have 6 kids. I have 3 sons and 3 girls. And Tom, you have?
5 girls and 1 boy. So you know how to do it better than I do.
But you have a hell of a boy. I met him. I was fearful as before I got to know him. This
Hello.
is Demetrius.
Hello, how are you? That he looks like a chip
How are
off
you?
the block.
How are you? He said, "Wie geht's dir?"
Very good. Nice.
Very good.
What do you
I
say?
think
How does he look?
he looks like a chip off the old block.
Chip, that's slang. Like, what do you gotta explain it? It almost sounded like Mohawk.
Well, like one block and the chip, a piece of the wood fall over.
Yeah.
Same block of wood.
Uh, I still didn't get it. Like a carved
They
wood
call
or
it off the block.
chip
That
off
means
the block.
just like you, it's the same thing.
Oh, I got it. Okay, it's like the apple and the tree, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, but you
yeah.
should, if you see his mother, it's more like he has more beautiness, but we feel very connected.
That's good. Yeah.
Very
Well,
good.
he looks fine.
Ja, schön, dass du da vorbeigekommen
Ja.
bist. Cool, richtig schön.
Ich muss ganz schnell was
Yeah.
ausprobieren. Ja?
Ja,
And
mach.
how old are you?
15. I'm 15 years old.
15.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good age.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
just doing a speech. That's actually the reason why he came in, Tom, is not to say hello, is because this is the only room where the printer is. He and then he was being polite and said he came and said hello. No. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He looked at me. No, I wanted to say hello, he said. No, he's just doing a speech about the ghettos in Warsaw and 19 in the 20th century, as the Nazis were putting all the Jews in the ghettos. And that's so interesting, like what we were talking about, like where the purple part, the dark part took over, you know, and it's like
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like everywhere we went, this happened all over the world. Like we went to the African continent, we went to the North American continent, to the Australian continent. You know what I mean? Like everywhere except Asia, maybe, but it's a little different there. But still, it did. Like all the influence from my ancestors, you know, like way back then. And still, sometimes it still feels like it because we are still part of it. Like we still live in this society, we still are privileged enough to fly over to your place anytime we want because we are so well fed and we don't have to look for food, or we don't have poverty so much than in all the other parts of the earth. And this is because we still profit from this colonizations, for all this. You know, I'll tell people like squash, beans, potato, corn, where all this came from. And if we would
Mhm.
give 0.001% of the income we make with selling this food or using it, give it back to the natives, they would be the richest people on earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they would use it for better things than Elon Musk, or who tries to go to the Mars, or as other people that get really, really rich, they get too rich. And now
Yeah.
you're a real rich businessman in power again, right? We are really fearful a little bit sometimes.
Well, one thing people should understand too is that the people in Europe and other parts of the world, they had spiritual leaders, real spiritual women leaders and men leaders, and they were doing all these ceremonies that I was talking about earlier. And those when the elite people were created, kings and queens,
Hmm.
dictators like that, they needed some kind of a way to get rid of the natural teachings of the universe,
Hmm.
because the natural teaching of the universe demands that we share everything. But kings and queens and dictators, they don't want to share. They want to hoard.
Mm.
They want to build fences, and they want to build barriers between the poor and the rich.
Mm.
And that's where private property signs goes up all over, because they mock the rich. But that's not the natural way. The deers don't know. They can't read private property. And we're not supposed to either. We're supposed to share everything. We're supposed to be free. And so in the history, um, before the colonization, all Europe had these spiritual leaders, just like the Mohawks, just like the Lakota. But they were attacked, and they were proclaimed to be witches. And they were shot or cut their head off or burn up in a fire. And the biggest one, the most famous one, is Joan of Arc.
Jonah, what's his name?
Joan of Arc.
Mm-hmm.
She was burnt up in a stake because they said she was a witch. And many of the European traditional leader, that's what they were labeled as, witches, and then killed or cut their head off. And so everybody was afraid to do anymore this natural teaching, otherwise they will get killed.
Yeah.
So that's the history that can't be denied either.
Yeah.
But you see, even though that's the history, it has to be told that is the history, because it's the truth. So people need to tell the truth. And the reason people need to tell the truth is so that the history that's bad won't be repeated again.
Hmm.
But if you don't tell the truth, then mistake will be repeated again. You see.
Yeah.
So amongst the Iroquois, Haudenosaunee people, we too had forgotten the spiritual universal truth over the years as a whole people. And then we were revisited by peace messiah different times of our history. We had even gone so far, whereas when we killed people before, 2,000 years ago, we became cannibals, Mohawks and Senecas. Well, we made a mistake as a people. And so the peacemaker sent a Messiah and said not to do that anymore. And that's where the great law of peace came in, which that flag that's in the back of you represents. And so we quit to be cannibal. But we don't hide that our great-great-grandfather was a cannibal. We tell it to our young. We don't want to do that anymore. We never want to go back to that, to become cannibal again.
Yeah.
But it's in our DNA too, because it was a mistake we made. We need to remind each other so we don't do that again. And so whatever negative things happen, if it did happen, don't hide it. Just tell about it so that it doesn't occur again.
And you always did this. As you were here, you always said this, and the parents are looking like, what is he talking about? And the kids were like, go on, it's exciting. As you were talking about the cruel things too, like kids sometimes in our society are so protected. Nothing bad, no, like it's obviously it's so much bad news that you do have to protect your kids somehow so they can grow up healthy, right? But in some way, like I love like my parents too, not on purpose, but they didn't always tell the truth because out of the thinking we have to protect our kid. And now I think thinking's changed a little bit that no, you have to tell the truth, but in the good words. And I think story form is a very good word to tell truths. And in your Peacemaker story, which I've only heard parts of it, how long is it now? You told me that you guys are working on it together.
5 hours each day, 10 or 11 days straight.
And every day 5 hours straight. This is a huge story. And we are working on our own, but we are only at like 2 evenings now, maybe 1.5, like 3 hours altogether. But it's we're working on a new story, like creating a new thing that has those truths in there for the kids. And what I was gonna say is in your story, I think the most clever, diplomatic. It's just grand, like really really awesome. The thing with the Tadudaho, that the evils, the most evils man, it would be like we would vote every I don't know, election, like every 45, 50 years, a Hitler, who is a peacemaker though, who keeps, maybe you can say something about this, you can explain it much better than me, like the role from the Tarudaho, because I think this is genius, as a culture, to do this till now, because this does exactly what you said, like remembering we have those both sides in us, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's true. Well, what they did was they doctored him with love and compassion,
Hmm.
and the people that accepted the great law began to embrace love and compassion between them. And so when that love and compassion, which is the great law of peace taught by the peacemaker, when several villages and nations embraced that, then they went to see him. So they surrounded him with kindness, and that kind of feeling filled the air. So when they began to approach him, it's like an ice in the 4th of July. It began to melt and turn into water
Yeah.
because it was like a hot sun of July. Ice don't stay long. It
Yeah.
will turn to water. And so the evilness and the snakes in Taradaho's hair began to fall out away from him. And it just made him into a human being again.
Yeah.
And now he feels all the people's compassion and love. And he wants to be a part of that too. So that's it takes quite a brave people to do that.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So so when you really tell the truth and you walk that kind of a road, that's where miracles happen. They come because of that.
Yeah.
That miracle is something that you and I uh, don't know how to do,
Yeah.
but we open the door to it if we have peace and tranquility and a strong urge to embrace the goodness of
Yes.
the universe. Then miracle can come.
Yep. Yeah.
I was talking to Hennis. I says, Hennis,
Yeah.
I was just kidding him. Because when we went there, he was there for 4 weeks, and
Oh, in Germany, you mean?
he got lonesome to come back. So I stayed extra 2 weeks. So I says, you want to go back to Europe again? I says, they want us to go. I was just kidding him. He, yeah, he says, but only 2 weeks, not more than that. But I was kidding with him.
But I should invite him though. I should invite him. We should go out and have a good time there. And he
Yeah.
should bring Ali Wayohne. Ali
Oh,
Wayohne.
yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Ali Hoyone, yeah.
Ali Wayohne. And what does it mean again? What is the meaning of it?
He delivers message.
Ah, yeah, the one that delivers messages. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think it was as you were here telling the part that he could feel the love and the kindness because there was a song sung. I like this part too. It's so, is it Alice? Is she coming?
Who?
Is Alice coming? Is Alice right there?
No, that's Jagwas.
Ah, Chuck was.
Go to them.
Where's Alice? I saw her. I saw her in the back.
Oh, you're staying. Look
I
at this,
saw Alice. Hey, Alice!
Hi.
Alice.
I'm very small, but it's still Paul. It means the small
And
one too.
Okay.
Hello.
and this is Jagwas' husband over there.
Ah, Douglas. Yes, I remember. Hello. Hey.
And I don't think sitting over there. Can you see her?
Yes, hello. Good to see you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then when you have to go, you say, Tom, right? We just quit.
yeah. Go
Wait,
to a feast.
yes. You just have to say chitak, and
Oh.
then should we tell the people what it means, Tom? Because no one knows Mohawk, I think, here.
Maybe you should tell them.
Yeah, when you're gone, I tell them the rusty nail, and then I tell them what shiitake means, so they understand. This- how can we fulfill this 3 laughs a day? Yes, okay, I know I don't understand where there is dirty jokes on this planet, because otherwise you can't fulfill this commitment, you know. No,
Yeah. If
but
we
when,
fail to do 3 laughs per day, then we should not have been born, Grandma said, because we missed the whole object of our life.
yeah, yeah,
But people can choose not to laugh. Well, then they have to live in grief.
yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, also true. Like what you see, like there's lots of fear, I think, over there in the States too. Lots of fear, and if you let this take over, I don't know what do you want to do then? You know, if you have this, it's good to grieve or to go do condolence or to say, like you said, to talk reality and to see the truth. But then, like what I do is I listen to the birds
Yeah.
and look at some tracks. That's what I do in the States too, as I was over there. Sometimes it was too much for me with all the people and then the Amish and then the big trucks and then the food and lights and you know, there was just so much income and then just go a little ways in the bush, they're always there. It's not so far
Hmm.
away. It's you don't have to do much. Like it's not much effort, you know.
Let me, Douglas, can you get some of those necklaces? I showed them some of the things I've done. We'll show you some of them. Right
I
now, I'm making tobacco bags. Of
ah. I have one still. I made my mix, Tom. I used it the first time this year ceremony. You remember? You told me you guys used the tobacco, and I said, it's we have a different history with tobacco here. We can, and so I made my own mix. Susanne said, yes, you can use those plants and ground them all up. Put lots of love in there, and I have a little bit of tobacco from you in there, like a homeopathic dose
Oh
that
yeah,
goes away, just a little bit.
oh yeah, uh-huh. No, they're gonna
Wow. Oh, how did you do the bead work again? This takes like a week
here.
or something. Yeah, wow. That's the bear because you're from the bear clan, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then this one here is a heron. Heron.
Oh yeah, the herring clan. Oh, nice. And then you take like 3 beads, and then he's doing it for hours and hours with a needle and beads out of his head. That's the sign. The same, the Haudenosaunee flag.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
tree of peace, white pine in the middle.
yes,
Yes, we have them here, Tom. We have white pines here. Brought over.
yes.
It's a Hirsch clan, deer clan.
But look real close. What kind
Oh.
of?
And lots of people. The 50 chiefs around it.
But look some more at the deer.
Oh, red nose. It's a Rudolph. Oh yeah, yeah.
I
Good,
said
good.
just joke so people can laugh 3 times a day.
Oh God, it's so good. It's so good. Oh Tom, it's really really good to see you. And you wanna do the feast now, right? We can make to be continued, and leave it easy and short. We know now how to do it. What's the name of your grandson?
Leonardo.
Lonadeo. He helped.
Uh-huh. He went back home to his house. He just lived a little ways.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
He didn't get
Well,
a laptop.
you make sure that you tell everybody, the ones that I knew when I was in Germany, if you see them, that I say hello to them and that I did have a wonderful time over there. And while I stayed with you, it was real nice at your place. And your
Oh,
wife, they're so nice.
thank you,
And
Tom. And
little Arthur, you tell him again. I say hello to him again.
he was very like Mama wanted to put him to bed right away. He says it's already so late, and we gotta go to school tomorrow. I said, no, no, it will only take 5 minutes. And then she said, "No, but is he on already? No, no, he's not on yet, but his grandson, he will take care of it. what? He's not on yet? No. Then we go, just tell him big greetings, big greetings. I said, it was really quick. And then I brought them all over and everyone came to say hello because we had a really, like, I told lots of stories from the time over there and I can give the same back, like tell everyone that we met big love and greetings from the country. I think this is one Bridgie thing, you know, to Gahadilo. Is he there yet? Or is he still south studying?
Well, he's in college in Santa Fe.
He's still very far away, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This year he finishes. He's done this year, this
Ah,
spring.
okay. Cool. And he comes
But
back then?
he'll be here in another week or no, another 2 weeks. He'll be here.
Tell him
For
big
that.
hello when you see him, and he can call me anytime if he wants to make business. I know lots of people, and he has a good shirt shop.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have a bad one.
He's a good businessman, that young guy.
Yeah, totally. I tell him we arranged something. We got to plan something. His grandpa is getting too old to come over.
Yeah. All right, then we'll
Yes.
later.
Thanks, and thanks for your time, Tom. Yes.
Okay. Catch you later.
Hey, Ona. So, jetzt machen wir.
Okay, dann.
So, jetzt machen wir immer.
Oh, it's still on.
I can throw you out. We say goodbye.
Okay, bye.